Did you ever think you would make it? I feel I'm so close I could taste sweet victory. I know this life meant for me. Yeah, why would you bet on Goliath when we got Bet David? Valuetainment, giving value's contagious. This world of entrepreneurs, we get no value to haters. How they run, homie, look what I become. I'm the one.
Yeah. Okay, I hope you're ready for this, episode 350, because Tom today, he's on fire. We've never seen this much paper and notes on Tom's side of the desk. There's a war going on between Vinny and Tom right now. I just asked Tom how much coffee he's had. His answer was legendary. But aside from that, a lot is going on. We haven't done a podcast since, I want to say, what, Friday?
Last week.
But even from Friday till today, I feel like we're already behind the eight ball. Right? There's so many things going on. Iowa caucus happened last night. Mm-hmm. Guys were asking us to, do a late night. I said, let's just do it today. We got a lot of stuff to cover today. Let me give you some of the stories we're going to talk about today. Then I'll give you an update. A very important election that's taking place that's maybe more important than Iowa caucus, but I'll give you that update here in a second. So one, we'll cover the feud with Vivek and Trump because, what the shots that was taken at Trump, what prompted it. I have some kind of an idea, I think, on what caused that. And then at the same time, Vivek drops out, suspends the campaign, and politely says he's going to be endorsing. He endorses Trump, makes the phone call to him, then says he's going to go out there and campaign with him. Nikki Haley gave one of the most random. If you didn't know numbers and you listened to Nikki Haley's message, you would have thought she won Iowa. Very weird. Literally, like you would, oh my God. So, it's either delusional, arrogant, confident, or something they know that we don't know, or she's just trying to make sure the donors keep bringing the money to continue. I don't know which one it is, but we'll figure that part out. DeSantis is so effective. He gave the shortest speech of ending up second place, comes in, gives this message, 3 minutes and 40 seconds.
Bye.
Gone.
Bye-bye.
They found him at Cheesecake Factory afterwards.
Really?
There's a great Cheesecake Factory in Iowa, by the way, Des Moines. When they opened it, they celebrated. But anyways, I don't know where he went. I don't know if he went
That's the biggest nightclub in Des Moines.
Or just went home.
Cheesecake
Because you could tell DeSantis was working just looking at his face. The last week, you could tell he's doing the 99 counties. He went and visited everybody. And, it's interesting what happened with him next. And then aside from that, there's a couple other stories here that we got. Biden says U.S. doesn't support Taiwan independence after the vote because Taiwan defies China, electing a new president Beijing labeled a separatist troublemaker. Okay, so that's that part. Aside from that Trump speech, he said, I think this is the first time in months that he actually said Ron DeSantis.
He said Ron DeSantis. Didn't say
no, he said Ron DeSantis, very respectful. It's about unifying, bringing everybody 100%. Together. Sons were there, family was there. His two sons were there. I got a couple thoughts on that as well. We'll cover that here in a minute. Houthi rebels strike a U.S.-owned ship off the coast of Yemen in the Gulf of Aden, raising tensions. We'll talk about that. World leaders meet to discuss the hypothetical disease X pandemic in Davos. By the way, when those guys get together, you just have to be ready that anything can be said. They have a new top 10 list of biggest crises to be worried about. We'll share that with you here in a minute. One of the speakers at Davos had some thoughts to say about Twitter and X, and you just have to hear what she says and how she says this. FAA diversity push includes focus on hiring people with severe intellectual and psychiatric disabilities. Jeez. That's a true story. By the way, the CEO of United Airlines was interviewed.
Scott Kirby.
We're going to show this video to you in a minute, Rob. And I just want to see how you're naturally going to react to this when you see it. It almost doesn't make any sense. Hertz selling 20,000 EVs so it can buy more gas guzzlers. Think about it, Hertz. Isn't that against ESG and DEI scores? They're getting rid of their Teslas, and we'll explain why that is. Charles Barkley pissed off at the NFL, calling them greedy pigs for playing the Chiefs-Dolphins game on Peacock. And I got a completely different view, and I love the fact that NFL did it and shout out to Roger Goodell for doing it, but you'll see why, because they had a record-breaking 23 million people either bought the app, they downloaded the app, or were on Peacock already to watch the game. 23 million, Vinny.
That's a lot of
heads. A lot of heads right there.
I watch
NFL and ESPN and advanced stocks. You ready for this one? This one's a weird one. On potential agreement that could give equity, the league equity stake. NFL, ESPN in advance of getting equity. This next story is going to disappoint Vinny a little bit, but Vinny, maybe earmuffs. At Iowa's oldest gay bar, fear over Republicans' transgender rhetoric.
What?
Devastating story, but we'll talk about that, yeah. Fauci's former boss concedes COVID lab leak was not a conspiracy theory.
Huh? What?
Illinois governor begs Texas Governor Abbott to stop sending migrants. And then we got a couple other stories we'll cover as well, a couple other videos. But before we get into all this stuff, let me kind of talk about what's going on with the most important election that's taking place. And that election is the Menect election. Ooh. So we announced this, I think it's a day before Christmas or 2 days before Christmas. I said, guys, between Vinny, Adam, and Tom, whoever from that day gets 500 Menects, if they get 500, whoever gets 500 Menects, $2,000 suit on me, okay? Tom wants a Stefano Ricci, so we're right now having a different kind of arrangement, but we'll figure that part out. But they want a $2,000 suit. So here's what's happened. Once we said that internally, there was some competition, but not a lot. Then when we announced it here, it got heated. This is where the election's at right now with the Menect Caucus. And here's who's in the lead.
Menocus.
Okay. Adam is at 133 Menects in third place. Vinny is at 187. And Tom still has a lead by 45 with 232. And the race is to 500, okay? So now here's what you got to be thinking about. For some of you that are like, what is Menect? I haven't downloaded it yet. Let me tell you what's going on with Menect. What would you pay to get a response from somebody you're DMing? Just think about that. I get tens of thousands of messages on Instagram or LinkedIn. I don't get back to people because I can't. But we wanted to find a way to have an incentive for the individual to get back to you and at the same time for you to be able to get a question you want to get answered by people. That's why we launched Menect. Years ago, I had a lawyer that charged me for a 7-minute call, 30 minutes, pissed me off. I said, why are you charging me 30 minutes? He says, minutes roll up. I said, no, they don't. It was a 7-minute call. I said, one day I'm going to build an app to pay people by the minute, not roll up. And that's exactly what Menect does. Do you have a minute to connect? So if you're a fan of Adam, we know what happened to Adam last week with the Bassem Youssef podcast. There's been more reactions to Adam, maybe some death threats, but that's a different story. But there's been more reactions to Adam,
from the
nicest messages. But at the same time, there's been a lot of people that are supportive of Adam's argument. If you're Team Adam, okay, Menect with Adam. Vinny had a day where he did 70 Menects last week. Tom did 80 Menects just on Saturday in a single day to empty out his Menects. It's just a lot of stuff that's going on here with Menect.
Could I say something?
Vinny wanted to say something.
I have
Go
to
ahead,
say
Vinny.
something. This is to all my fellow Americans, PBD podcasters, all the Menectors. I need you. It's the threat to democracy. Tom, if you guys could see Tom, can you guys show Tom? Tom doesn't like trees. He kills trees for the podcast. If you love trees, you don't have to go for Tom. By the way, 9 cars. He took a helicopter to get to a Ferrari to get here today. He doesn't need the suit.
You're not supposed to say that.
Tom, relax. I wore a pin. I wore a Menect pin. You're not wearing a pin. Please, Tom, just don't do this. Guys, the first 5 people to Menect me, I'm going to give you a shout out at the end of the podcast if it's okay with Pat.
You're creative.
Guys, time out. Hey, Adam, this is not your time. Tom, stop it. Guys, I need you. Text question. Just let's push today for the future of America.
And by the way,
all of a sudden he's breaking the rules.
No, I'm not.
No.
Okay, how about this, Tom? Wait 1 second.
Tom, I'm going to do this.
The next 5 people.
Hang on.
The next 5 people to Menect me. I'm going to show up at your house with 20 women. We're going to have the party of a lifetime.
Can't give the address away.
And then maybe I'll bring Vinny or Tom.
You don't understand marketing. If you want to be sure that your death threats are not ignored and end up on LinkedIn where Adam will ignore them, send them by mail.
That's true.
Anyway,
Menect, let's go, baby.
On a real note, though, if you haven't yet downloaded the app, record-breaking week last week, record-breaking month, record-breaking quarter. I can't even tell you what's going on right now with Menect. It's unbelievable. So excited to get all these different people on there. But show your support with whoever you love here.
Please.
With them. Download the app.
I want to win.
Send them a question. Yesterday, a guy sent me a video question. I sent him a video question response back from Mar-a-Lago. I was at Mar-a-Lago yesterday. We're about to announce what we're going to be doing, an event of ours, which is pretty wild. But we had a great time at the Mar-a-Lago. So download the app, ask your questions.
Please, guys, I'm waiting.
Let's
go.
Wins. I have a feeling someone's going to win in the next week or 2.
Come on, baby, let's go.
PBD, Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah.
I saw that you were becoming a realtor.
I was becoming a realtor. Rob, you want to show that
Mar-a-Lago.
video?
And Pat, why he's looking? Was that your
It's
first
worth-
time there?
No, I've been
Oh,
there.
okay.
God.
How
Vinny, with your
ridiculous-
stupid questions, ask dumb questions on Manek, buddy. First time there.
See, guys, you see
you've
what's
been with him there.
I wasn't there with. I was there.
Well, you
I
know
was there
what?
with
Wait,
Rob.
Hang
The
on,
point
hang on,
is,
hey, quick.
PBD,
That's stupid.
Realtor to the Stars,
Just zoom out, Rob.
is
Zoom out.
Mar-a-Lago worth
I'm making an announcement. I'm
18
gonna be a
million
realtor in,
or 1.5
Yeah, look at that
billion?
suit, though.
Rob, can
Look-
you make it bigger, Rob, and then play it? So they can
Make
see?
it big,
There
Rob.
you go. Go for it.
buddy.
Be quiet. Let him in.
PBD, how much is this property?
Wow.
Between 18 million to $1.5 billion, depending on who you're asking. If you ask a judge in New York, 18 million. If you ask everybody in real estate in the area, they're going to say $1.5 billion.
Look at how sick that place is, bro.
Anyways, okay, so let's get into the stories. Before we get started, again, for the people that watched the podcast last week, Bassem Youssef, and if you really want to connect with Adam, there's a new show coming out based on what people said. Rob, if you want to show the new movie, it's called Everybody Hates Adam. It's not Everybody Loves Raymond. It's a new show.
I got print
it's a
law.
new show.
Here's what I'll say. Channeling the inner Elon Musk to all the haters and the Islamists and the jihadists, go fuck yourself. Okay? What people don't understand is that after the interview, the debate, the discussion, here's the problem you guys missed. We actually hug and shook hands at the end.
Did you post that
and
picture?
Yes. And didn't want to kill each other. So you can have debate, you can have discourse without telling somebody they should go to hell
Or die.
and die.
Or die.
So that's my problem. And it's usually the funniest thing. People who came from that side of the world who now live in the West and have the comfort of living in LA or London or Sydney, you know, down under, or in
Miami.
Sweden or in Miami,
or
from the
Minneapolis.
comfort of your own beautiful house in America, start debating American values. Go back to Hamas land if that's where you feel. That's how I feel. And if you want to stay here, get with the program. We live in America. We live in a democracy. We believe in a free exchange of ideas. And if not, go fuck yourself.
By the way, you know what? Let me tell you what video I want to start off with. I don't want you to give it away because you gave this video out, but I want them to watch this. Rob, you know which video I'm talking about? Go find that video that Adam sent yesterday, because eventually common sense prevails. I found the video. If you don't have it, I'll text it to you.
Jon Stewart one?
Yes, this is the one that you sent, which I think it's such a powerful
Yeah, of course.
message here that common sense prevails. I sent it to you. By the way, right afterwards, Bassem came to the house.
Yeah.
Alper made him something to eat, dolma. We got a masseuse to give him a 1-hour massage. And then right afterwards, he went to Miami to do his show. And we had a great time, you know, with Bassem. But this is the part that people don't see behind the scenes, which, by the way, sometimes I feel like we need to document that as well to show people what else we're doing behind closed doors, because we don't. Maybe it's some of the behind-the-scenes stuff that we got to show sometimes that we don't have. But play this clip. Watch this here, guys. Here's Jon Stewart, okay? Jon Stewart is the man who ran. When you think about Daily Show, you only think about one name. You think about Jon Stewart, right?
Yes.
On the left, is not a fan of Trump, is not a Republican, but here's a group of people bashing America, and I want you to see how Jon Stewart reacts and defends America. Go ahead and play it.
We believe we've got a few weeks before it starts, and we're just putting together kind of the teams.
You have a doubt about France, but I have also a doubt about the US. You know, what is required from us is not to invade other countries like you did.
I'm afraid, as far as I'm concerned, the US were the biggest destabilizing influence.
We know that America was built on genocide, slavery, and colonialism.
America was built on freedom.
Freedom for who, though?
Americans.
You got to stop this America first. Because all the lunatics
America
here,
first.
they love saying, well, then it's Hungary first, it's Germany first, but not everyone can be first.
That's the point of America first, is not everybody can be first, it's us.
Well, but that's a bit contradictory with your plan of being the captain of the team. Because when you're a captain of the team, you don't say America first. What you say is you stand with some principles that can unite your team. So the problem with your America first...
I'm gonna stop you right there.
America first is America alone.
What?
World War III.
Okay, pause it right there. So you see that. What do you think about Vinny?
I think, well, dude, at the end of the day, if America isn't first, what's the world going to look like? All we do, I mean, yes, we get involved with a bunch of crazy stuff, but we are the beacon. We are the standing force. And if God forbid anything happens to us, all those people with all the weird accents, their shit's going down quick.
By the way, let's change. Let's say it's China first. What does the world look like?
Oh my!
Let's say it's Russia first. What does the world look like?
Really?
Let's say it's Iran first. What does the world look like? Let's say it's India first. What does the world? Let's say it's Germany first. What does the world? Let's say it's France first. What does the world look like? Let's say it's any of those countries first. What does the world look like?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, let's say when that, you remember that guy Hitler? If he wanted, he kept going, and it was Germany first. What would we wouldn't be here?
But I love the fact. Let me tell you what I love this.
Yeah.
You know what I love this? This is the best part about this clip here, and Tom, I'm coming to you next. You know what's the best part? The best part is when sometimes stupidity from the other side forces you to agree with somebody that you would have never in a million years. Can you imagine within 50 seconds, Jon Stewart went from a liberal to sounding like an America First guy campaigning for Trump?
100%.
How weird does that sound? Tom, when you see this, what do you think about?
Well, I see I see the poison of globalism in the faces of everybody else. Everybody else wants everybody to be equal, but they don't understand it doesn't work that way. It didn't work that way for Austria-Hungary. It didn't work that way for Germany. It didn't work that way for Spain and Portugal during the age of exploration that was funded by gold and the kings and queens. It didn't work. It worked when America showed up talking about freedom, and nobody was a Spaniard. Nobody was Portuguese. Nobody was German. We all became Americans under a constitution and an ability to live here freedom. There is no race in America. We're everywhere. We are everyone from somewhere. That's who we are. And I see the poison of globalism here that wants to take down the very thing that has been the beacon of defense. What does Europe look like if the U.S. doesn't get together with the U.K. in World War I?
Yep.
What does Europe look like if 30 years later, if the United States doesn't get together with the UK and a half conspiratorial and half hiding France to help it? What does the world look like? Go take a look at what Japan was doing in Southeast Asia in World War II. Go read it. They are our friends. They are a strong ally. They are a capitalist country. They are thriving. But go back and look what their emperor was doing in 1940 and what they were doing to the Chinese into doing these. And go look at what comfort women were, where they would imprison these Chinese women and make them, prostitutional slaves for the military. Go take a look. And then you put freedom on there, you put respect for the individual, and you put it forward. And this is where everybody wants to come. There is not an immigration line at the door of, Hungary or any of these places. There's not.
Forget it. I'm done. I'm voting for Tom, guys. It's over. Tom's got my vote. Go ahead, Adam.
Yeah, well, during COVID, we learned the term the Great Reset, right? I believe what happened during COVID is one of the most impactful things of our lives, not so much health-wise, awareness-wise, but politically. What we've seen is all the lies and all the malaise and all the media, the fake news, if you will,
good accent,
has sort of been realized. And if you just look at sort of the canaries in the coal mines, the bellwethers, look at where Bill Maher is these days. Look at where Elon Musk is these days. Look at where Joe Rogan is these days. These guys were on the left. Same with me. These are classic liberalists. Joe Rogan proudly said he was going to vote for who?
Bernie Sanders.
Bernie Sanders. Elon Musk was not a Trump guy. Okay? Jon Stewart, not a Trump guy. But what's happening around the world today is making people with common sense say, I don't know about that, bro. I don't. Osama bin Laden is the good guy now?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, what happened?
This is what's going on? Because all these people who are 40 and over, including myself, realized that when we watched the movies, when we watched Rocky back in the 80s and 90s, we rooted for Rocky, not Ivan Drago from the Soviet USSR.
If he dies,
when we watched Indiana Jones, we rooted for Indiana Jones, the American, not the Nazis. Okay? When we watched True Lies with Arnold Schwarzenegger, we rooted for Arnold Schwarzenegger and Jamie Lee Curtis, not the Islamic terrorists known as Crimson Jihad. And finally, it's the equivalent of not rooting for the Avengers and rooting for Thanos. So, Thanos. Sorry.
Thanos is Armenian.
Thanos. Yes.
Like, Thanos, Johnny Schmitzes.
I watched all those movies.
Thanos.
So, there's
Nico would correct you right now.
Thanos. We all know what I meant here, guys.
I am Iron Man.
But there's the reality that people with common sense are saying, nah, I'm on Team America. And here's a little hot tip for people. No offense to PBD and his people. Whatever team current mafia-like regime Iran is on, just take the other side. because Iran is backing Hamas, the Houthis, Hezbollah, Islamic Jihad. That's the regime that's going on in Iran these days. That's the reason, that mentality, that someone as great as Patrick Bet-David cannot return to Iran. That's the reason that someone like Bassem Youssef, for all he says, cannot return to Egypt.
Well, just to
how do I say his name?
It's Bassem. You've been Bassem him. People were like, at least it's Bassem Youssef.
That's what I said.
No, you've been saying Bassem.
You're like taking both
You're
and
like
putting it together.
potato, potato.
Bassem Youssef,
Potato, potato.
Hamas, whatever.
I love
With all the butchering of certain words that you do.
I think you're catching up to me. You're on track to be right there next to me.
But the reality is, I'm on Team America. We're all on Team America.
I love it.
And that's where you need to be.
Awesome. Okay, let's go to the next stories here. Do we want to go to Iowa caucus first, or do we want to go to some of these Peacock stories? Rob, how about we go to a couple business stories first? Let's go to Peacock Chiefs Dolphins game. Drew 23 million viewers, becoming the most streamed NFL game ever. Okay, 23 million. What a business model right there. NFL's going to everybody else the same. So Amazon, Netflix, do you want to do it next? Apple, do you want to do it next? Look at the kind of results we're getting. So let me read this to you on what happened here. Peacock broadcast the game, 23 million viewers. The viewership record surpasses the previous streaming record in late November when the Dallas Cowboys faced the Seattle Seahawks on Prime Video with 15.26. The success of the exclusive streaming broadcast underscores the growing importance of streaming platforms in sports broadcasting and subscription acquisition. As Peacock's premium subscription, costing $5.99 a month, saw a significant increase in subscribers with 30 million reported subscribers and a 75% increase over the previous year. Now, watch this one here. Charles Barkley calls NFL greedy pigs. Rob, just play the clip real quick so the audience can see this for themselves. You should have it. You just showed it a minute ago. Okay, while you're doing that, I'll find it. Former NBA star Charles Barkley is not happy about the deal. You have it? Go ahead and play it. Watch this. Watch this. Robert.
Yo, man, this thing showing this game not on cable, that's low class, man.
It's on Peacock, right?
Yes.
You got to
Yeah, come on, man. That's not cool. That's not cool. They're just being greedy pigs. I'm glad some NFL players taking some shots at them. I know the NFL is the biggest thing in the world. To put this game on Peacock and make people have to buy Peacock, that's just low class, man. And I'm disgusted. I'm not even, first of all, I can't watch them. I'm going to be filming commercials. But even if I could, I wouldn't watch it. I'm just going to boycott the game.
Nobody cares.
They sold the game for $110 million. And I know that's a lot of money, but the NFL's, they're making $20 billion a year. To screw your fans like that, it's just not cool, man, at all.
That's what
By the way, pause that. I got to tell you, Charles, been a fan for a long time. Love what you do. Obviously, I've seen the documentary with Inside the NBA with what happened when you came through, and you're the star, and you won God knows how many Emmys, all well-deserved. Your commentary, I actually really like your commentary. But let me tell you why I love this year, Charles, and I disagree with you. Here's why. I think cable is dying, and Barkley is still part of cable.
Of course.
And he is still working for TNT. And by the way, Charles, TNT, if they could afford it, they would have considered some of this stuff. Some of these other cable companies, if they could afford to pay $110 million, they would love to do it. The only thing keeping cable TV in business is only a few things. 1, baby boomers. 2, sports. 3, big pharma. That is it. There's nothing else that's keeping cable TV in business. Streaming is the future. Your show Inside the NBA is going to eventually be on a streaming service if it isn't already. So for Roger Goodell to do something like this and his board that made a decision to take the $110 million check from Peacock, one, salute to Roger Goodell for doing that. The NFL players can bitch and moan all they want about it. Where do you think the money comes from? Getting better contracts. And the guy that's done the best job at getting those contracts is a guy named Roger Goodell. He's brought money to the teams. He's increased the valuation of these teams. And it's only 17 games they're playing per year. It's not like they're playing 82 games during the NBA. They're playing 17 games, I believe 8 home games. For some it's more, but for most it's 8 home games that they're playing. Phenomenal job for Peacock for spending that $110 million, and phenomenal job to Roger Goodell for doing that. Eventually, every local sporting event, when you and I watch WGN and we would watch the Chicago Bulls or we would watch the White Sox or you would watch TNT or TBS and you would watch what, the Braves or the Hawks. Everybody knew who Kevin Willis was, you know.
TBS was Braves all day, every day.
That's right. Everybody knew Kenny Lofton. You knew Fred McGriff. You knew Andres Galarraga. You knew David Justice. You knew Joe, Rocker. You knew Millwood. You knew Maddox. You knew every one of those guys because we had cable. You watched that on the channel. So brilliant move by Ted Turner back then, and they hated it when he did it. Guess what? Brilliant move for Roger Goodell and brilliant move on Peacock for doing this. Tom, any thoughts on this? I know there's a whole different story here as well.
No, but we have one chart for you that shows the facts. Back it up. So look at cable subscribers over time. I sent it to you. It's one of the links, Rob. No, one more. There we go. There it is, Pat. What is happening to cable TV subscribers over time? There's fewer people every year. Cable peaked at 104 million people back in 2010. Now it's 35% down. It's like 65 to 70 million people. So what is Roger Goodell doing? He has something to sell, and Peacock bought it, and then they resold it as a profit. That's like Foot Locker buys Nikes from Nike and sells them to you and me. That's what this is. There is no entitlement to cable programming. And you've got the NFL, by the way, making money for its players, as Pat said. But you look here, Roger Goodell, think of cable TV as a store. Pat, if you were Phil Knight and Foot Locker was no longer able to sell as many Nikes, would you sell them somewhere else? Of course you would. Of course you would.
It's your job. It's what you're supposed to do.
It's your duty. Yeah. It's Roger Goodell's responsibility.
That's right. He's doing his job. Roger's doing his job.
So look at it that way, America. Is cable TV is a store. The store doesn't sell as much stuff anymore. So Roger Goodell is finding other ways to sell them. He's selling it online, and in this world, that's called streaming.
Speaking of doing your job, I'm going to take a different angle on this one. Okay, I'm staying on topic, but you know what I did Saturday night? Well, I'm a lifelong Dolphins fan.
No. Oh, is it something else?
Were you on your bed with lotion?
No, go ahead, Tom. You were talking. Go ahead.
No, you said, Tom, go ahead. What did I do Saturday night? And I'm like, maybe I don't want to know.
Go ahead. Tom, go ahead.
Tom? Guys, this is why you have to connect with me, because Tom doesn't know what the hell he's talking about.
So, Tom, I'm going to say something now.
Do you want to coffee for Tom? Go ahead, Adam. Make your point, Tom. Don't interrupt. Let him make his point. Go ahead, Adam.
You know what I did Saturday night? Lifelong Dolphins fan, and this is, you guys just moved to South Florida recently. You're coming into terms of, all right, the Dolphins are here. I get it. Hootie and the Blowfish sang a song years ago,
Only want to be with you.
Only want to be with you. But one of the key lines in their musical repertoire is sometimes the Dolphins make me cry.
Yep.
We Dolphins fans, Miami Dolphins fans, know better than get our hopes up and buy the subscription to watch the Dolphins lose. So what did I do instead? I watched my guy, my brother, Vinny Oshana,
with Brian
Callen perform at the Turnberry Country Club.
How many old Jewish people?
But be honest, Vinny, you did so good.
Pat, it was
so proud of you.
55 and over.
Yeah.
They were like,
but it was amazing. Vinny crushed it. Brian Callen, what a stud. Amazing. We had dinner, everything. I did not waste my time on the pitiful Dolphins who play with your emotions. So I did not do this. I watched my brother do it, put in the work.
Thank you, sir.
But regarding Charles Barkley, we've talked about this many times. Cable is dying. It's the boomers. It's the people on news. It's people that watch sports. And Charles Barkley, as much as he was not growing up, his famous line was, I am not a role model. Yeah. I am not a Charles Barkley, he's part of the establishment now.
I know.
He's part of the
Well, Pat, think about it, too. He doesn't.
I love Barkley.
He doesn't want to lose his job. Like, he thinks his job is at stake. Because if everybody goes streaming, nobody's going to want to sit there and watch cable. Well, you nailed it. Cable's been dying. Does he not see the numbers?
Yeah, but by the way, the Phoenix Suns said, moving forward, if you want to watch the game, you have to order our OTT. That's the direction NBA, NFL, everything's going, and they're doing the right thing.
Good.
I think they're doing the right thing, and these streaming services who can pay the money and get them off off cable, because cable's relying on whatever cable money subscription they get per month, and then they rely on sponsorship, right?
Pfizer and all these people.
Streaming services have 50 million people that are paying them $10 a month. That's $500 million a month. They're like, yeah, we'll pay you $110 million. 23 million people went and watched it.
That's bananas.
Tom, that's insane for 23 million people to watch it.
That's a great audience. Well done by the commissioner that got his players paid.
Smart.
I thought it's a fantastic story. And by the way, that leads to NFL, ESPN, advanced talks or potential agreement that could give equity stake which this one to me is a little bit concerning, and I'll give you my perspective why I think it is. NFL and ESPN are reportedly in talks to deepen their relationship. Two sides in advanced talks. I could see NFL take an equity stake in ESPN. The NFL, the league, could take an equity stake in ESPN owned by Disney, according to the New York Post. ESPN would take over NFL media as part of the possible agreement, according to the report. The Post reported that talks have advanced enough that the Players Association and NFL owners have been notified of the conversations. Both would need to be involved in the equity agreement as the two sides share revenue. The news comes as ESPN targets 2025 for when it'll go direct to consumer, which will allow individuals to access the ESPN platform without a cable subscription. I have a problem with this. Here's my problem with this here, and I'll get your perspective on this, Tom, and others. But my problem with this is the following. This is kind of like how China controls the media. This is when, the U.S. government owning, what's the media service that the U.S. government owns? Is that NPR? Is that what NPR is? Okay. I don't listen to NPR, and quite frankly, I don't trust NPR, okay? Because the commentary is always going to defend who? Whoever's funding you, okay? So you want me to listen to ESPN after NFL owns it? What is ESPN going to say to him? Can you imagine they criticize concussions? And then NFL comes out and said, you guys got to fire Larry. You can't talk like that. Bad things about NFL. I just complimented NFL and Roger Goodell on one side, which is someone maybe listening to the same Pat. Are you, what's this bipolar answer you're given? One moment, Roger Goodell's great. Another moment is this. No, I lack accountability. There's got to be a part of it where you're holding yourself accountable to the reporting aspect of sports specifically.
Yep.
And that part of it is challenging, especially to buy ESPN. Now, if it's legal, it's business, they're doing the dealing, it is what it is. But to me, there's a part of it that makes me feel uncomfortable knowing the government is owning NPR. So ESPN overnight becomes NPR to the NFL.
And what you're talking about is essentially a monopoly, right? Because if you look at doesn't the NFL own the NFL Network? Think about who's watching football. You're watching it on NFL Network. You're watching it on ESPN. We just saw what happened with Pat McAfee. Let me try to basically loosen this up. Do you think Pat McAfee didn't want to have Aaron Rodgers on the show? And I think he ended up having him on or not having him on. Yeah. But when the forces at the top tell you how you need to operate, how many times can journalists who maybe want to criticize NFL, whether it's CTE, whether it's concussions, whether it's monetary compensation, whatever it is, I think what you're saying is that there needs to be an equal opportunity of voices to criticize, but also praise whatever is going on.
I think if the government allows it, NFL should do it. I just don't think it's good. I don't think if there's no law against it, the right move for the NFL is to own ESPN. Are you kidding me? Good for you, because what are you going to do? Every time, the first thing you start off with is NFL. All the programming, NFL. All the main documentaries, NFL. The 30-for-30, the most 30-for-30s you'll do is NFL stories. Everything will favor, the NFL. And so by the way, check this out. So think about what are the four sports that we have in America. So you got NFL, NBA, NHL, MLB, right? MLS is kind of coming up, and you got a couple other sports that you have to report on. Now they're reporting boxing, UFC, a few other things. So does NBA have any say on ESPN being bought or equity stake by the NFL? No. Nope. Do they? Maybe. I don't know. Does the NHL have any say on this? Does UFC have any say on this? Does MLB have any say on this? No. So if NFL is the only one that has equity stake, you're a board member, you have influence, more of the content's going to be naturally NFL.
Of course.
Okay? So, Tom, what are your thoughts on this here?
Well, there's two paths here, and I should probably break this down because this is like a 2-hour case study, but I'm not going to do that 2 hours here, thank God. The first path is Disney. Disney is doing things with ESPN right now that it would not normally do if it wasn't sitting here with a check that it has to write here in 2024 to Comcast for the remainder of Hulu. That is billions and billions of dollars. That was the option agreement for Disney to own all of Hulu. They own Comcast. They tried to renegotiate it down. Comcast so far says, no, I'm going to go with the contract that says you owe me this billions of dollars. When are you going to be wiring that? So Disney's got that. Also, Disney interest rates are up, and they have a big pile of debt that they took out to buy the Fox stuff. So Disney is in a problem financially, a big financial problem. They need stacks of money. So they're doing things right now with ESPN that they wouldn't normally do because it's still an asset. Also, the second path is cable. We just talked about it. So when cable was 100 million, ESPN had 100 million households. ESPN and CNN are always in every single solitary cable pack and about 11 other channels. So if cable's down, ESPN revenue is down on that. Well, that doesn't help. And then the third one is the NFL. The NFL is watched. Major League Baseball is not the number one sport in America, but they are Lord God King of digital services and organizations. Major League Baseball Advanced Media powered MLS so that they could have an online service and they didn't have to build it. So didn't have to build it. That's what's coming to NFL. NFL had a network. Hey, we'll do the NFL network and we'll do the Red Zone channel. Remember, there's like 4 little channels that the NFL had. Where? On cable and satellite. Oh, back to the problem that 100 million cable satellite went down. So now the NFL is, what do I do? The NFL is looking at it that I believe this is a short path to over the top and online. And by the way, in the ESPN contracts, which is the last line of the story here, in 2025, ESPN can go more broadly direct to consumer because they put that in their cable contracts because they saw cable coming down. So next year, 2025, they can do more with it. Now, the NFL is saying, listen, I need more. I need to sell more. I need to get more dollars for my people. And you, ESPN, you have the right to go direct to consumer next year. Hey, how about I get an equity stake in you and you help me take a couple steps toward exactly what MLB has done for the last 10 years?
Yeah. I mean, look, again, if I'm NFL, I'm doing this. If you're already seeing contracts expiring in 2025, what's special about 2025? A year after election, 2024, right? So 2024, and by the way, did you see the Iowa caucus yesterday? Who came first?
Trump.
Who came second?
DeSantis.
Who came third?
Haley.
Who's the only person that didn't do any podcast?
Haley.
Who didn't? Haley didn't do any podcast.
Do one podcast.
She just doesn't go talk. And by the way, check this out. Vivek, who nobody knew as of 2 years ago, who nobody even, thought about like who Vivek was. You didn't sit there and think, who is this guy? This guy's going to run for president? He went from 0 to 2 million followers on Twitter with billions of online view, and he was constantly meeting with others. A star is born for the Republican Party, by the way, just so everybody knows.
The future looks bright.
You can sit there and say whatever you want. The left would love a star like Vivek Ramaswamy. By the way, on the left, the star is who? Say
AOC?
Say,
you think?
I think AOC is a star for the socialist
Gavin
left.
Newsom.
I think it's far left, but I think Gavin Newsom is a star for the left,
of 100%.
Right? But even a Gavin Newsom, in my opinion, is not the level of a star as a Vivek is for the right. Not at all. There's two different people.
I agree.
So, Rob, let's talk about something here. Last week, out of nowhere, on Friday, President Trump put something on Truth Social. If you can put this up, and then we can go through a couple of the tweets, and I'll speculate on why I think that happened. But if you want to put up what the president said about Vivek last week on Truth, I think that's what it is. Vivek started his campaign as a great supporter, the best president in generations, etc. Unfortunately, now all he does is disguise his support in the form of a deceitful campaign tricks. Very sly, but a vote for Vivek is a vote for the other side. Wow. Don't get duped by this. Vote for Trump. Don't waste your vote. Vivek is not MAGA. The Biden indictment against his political opponent will never be allowed in this country. They are already beginning to fall MAGA. So now, what prompted this? So I went out and I saw Vivek's tweets. And I noticed Vivek tweeted, by the way, this came 45 minutes or 50 minutes after a tweet by Dave Smith that Vivek retweeted. Did you see the tweet by Dave Smith? So go to Dave Smith's tweet.
Our friend Dave Smith?
Dave Smith is a stud of a guy. So Dave Smith posts something, but he's not a Trumper. No, he's not MAGA. So Dave Smith posts something on Twitter. I hope he doesn't tweet 75 times a day where we can't find it, because some guys tweet
Dave's
so
a busy
many
guy,
times.
Man.
No. How many tweets do you see a day? Do you see it? So you'll find it. Keep going. Whatever last week was, Friday. What is Friday? Can you give the date?
I think it was
Keep going. Go a little bit back. Go one more back. Go one more back. Go one more back. So Dave Smith said something last week. Go one more. Let's see if it comes up. Oh, man, you got to find the tweet. Keep going.
There's the 11.
Is that the one? Now you're back. So anyways, he posts a tweet, and in the tweet, he says something about, here's what I believe in. I believe Nikki Haley is the worst candidate we've had in many years, and he's just going and calling out everybody, right? And he thinks, Vivek is the best one out there to get, et cetera, et cetera. But then he also says, and I will never vote for Trump because Trump's drama or something like that, right? So Vivek retweets that.
Oh, man.
So when you retweet that, if you can find it, Rob, Vivek retweets that. And to me, that's a retweet 45 minutes before Trump tweets what he tweeted on Truth Social. And I believe that's what started. Now, I may be wrong. I'm purely speculating on what I'm hearing. But to me, let me just read the tweet. And Vivek tweets so much, you got to go back.
Crazy.
Oh, my God. I'm going like this. It's still 24 hours.
Wow.
So let me see so what is the date again for that? Give me the date again for it.
12th is Friday.
While I'm finding this, can you guys give some commentary here?
Let's. The breaking news is that obviously Trump won Iowa, and Vivek has officially dropped out of the race.
Yeah, and wisely so.
Okay, so everything. Listen, this was inevitable because Vivek, as much as we think he's a stud, he's been on the program multiple times. We've had a relationship with the guy. He's amazing. At some point, you're going for the king. And if you shoot for the king, you better not miss. And he's been trying to waffle and align himself with the MAGA movement and America First. But Iowa was the first time that someone had to cast a ballot. Mm-hmm. And Trump, over the weekend, was like, all right, I see what you've been doing. You've been aligning yourself with my team this entire time. Respect. Thank you for this. But at the end of the day, he's running against Donald Trump. He's running against Vivek. And he basically put the nail in the coffin for Vivek. So we all know that most people that like Trump, MAGA, there's some alignment with Vivek. We all know that. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, he's trying to take Donald Trump's job. Yes?
At the end of the day, you're 100% right.
It took one simple tweet, whatever the...
I found it. Here you go, Rob. If you want to play
happened,
it.
But Vivek is now out.
Yep. Is this this is the one? Yeah. So if I was a Republican caucusing in Iowa, I would 100% support Vivek, and it's not even close. DeSantis is a war hawk and a coward. Warhawk coward. I will never forgive Trump for his appointments and his COVID policy. Nikki Haley is the worst human in America. There's really no debate. I disagree with Vivek on Mexico and China, but he's head and
shoulders.
His head and shoulders, the best Republican. Plus, he does my show. LOL, right? And so Vivek retweets this. The most important sentence here is what? I will never forgive Trump for his appointments and his COVID policy. And you retweeting it is a form of an endorsement. And to Trump, who reads everything to see where you are, this would upset the hell out of somebody who's wired like Trump. So then Vivek comes out and he gives love to Trump and says, I'm probably going to be campaigning. I called president. I told him I endorse you, and I'll be in New Hampshire with you. So you know what role he's playing next. And the president had good things to say about him. And Carrie Lake, they had good things to say about those two.
About Carrie Lake, dude, and listen, say what you want. I watched the entire the post-win caucus. Bro, you cannot compare him to Joe Biden. And I'm saying this with all sincerity. He doesn't, it's sad to watch. I hope everybody realizes that they got duped into voting for this guy because he was the lesser of two evils. He came up there. He was professional. He was cordial. He said nice things about Ron. He said nice things about Haley, Nikki Haley. He said.
Can you play this clip about what he said about Vivek and then play Vivek's clip as well?
Yep.
Go ahead, Rob.
I also want to congratulate Vivek because he did a hell of a job. He came from zero, and he's got a big percent, probably 8%, almost 8%, and that's an amazing job. They all did. They're all very smart people, very capable people.
You can pause it and go to the next one, Rob, and see Vivek's video if you have it. And a star is born with Vivek. There's no question.
1,000%. And guess what, though? He has to realize that right now, and I'm pretty sure he's going to take it because, he has his own money. He has a strong backbone. That swamp, that left, that establishment, they're going to start as of right now. They're going to be on top of his ass.
Go ahead and play it.
Because they don't like him. He speaks the truth.
Go back a little bit, Rob.
Candidates in.
Go back. Yeah, sometimes it does that.
As I've said since the beginning, there are two America First candidates in this race. And earlier tonight, I called Donald Trump to tell him that I congratulated him on his victory and now going forward, he will have my full endorsement for the presidency. And I think we're going to do the right thing for this country.
Some people were unhappy, by the way, when he did that.
Yeah.
FY, his wife is also very well spoken. She's a surgeon, by the way. She's like,
really?
Oh, yeah. She's very smart and very well spoken as well.
Where does she, do you know where she's at? Is she anti-MAGA or is she?
No, what do you mean? It's his wife.
No, I'm saying Vivek's wife. Yeah, one thing is Vivek's wife, is she pro-Trump? Does she like?
She does what Vivek tells her to do.
Oh, well, I mean,
Vivek's the leader of the household. But go ahead, Adam.
So just a couple talking points. It's official, guys. The Trump train has left the station. This was the first of what we're going to be seeing over the next few weeks, few months, the Republican primaries. Trump's running away with this thing. Next up is New Hampshire. Nikki has a slight chance there, but with Vivek dropping out and endorsing and stumping for Trump, it's over. Ron's got no path to the presidency. It's over. His only shot was in Iowa. He's not winning New Hampshire, and he's certainly not winning what's third, South Carolina.
And by the way, Trump didn't win Iowa. I think Ted Cruz won Iowa in 2016.
Thank you. I was just going there. Thank you, PBD. This became the highest ever winning percentage for a Republican primary candidate ever. Donald Trump in 2016, to put in perspective. So what they say in Iowa is that if you win the evangelical vote, you win Iowa. 2/3 of Iowa caucus voters are evangelical. So in year 2000, George W. Bush won it with 43% of the vote. Trump just crushed that with 51% of the vote, okay, in Iowa. Trump's dominating. So to look at what's going on in Iowa right now, understand a couple different things. The DNC, you talk about Biden, the Republican, we all know that Biden is a weak candidate. Who is not weak is the DNC. They are shrewd. They are slick. They know how to play the game.
Yeah, they know how to cheat in 2016. Yeah.
It is very naive of you to just think they're cheaters. It's
not you. They'll stop at anything.
I'm saying to anyone out there, if you just think they're cheating, you're being naive. They have grassroots campaigns. They're organized. They get out the vote. Do weird things happen in elections, especially with mail-in ballots during COVID? But look at every election since 2000. It's been a nail biter. It's as we used with our friend the other day. It's ignorant and naive to just think they're cheaters. Their DNC don't play. The fact that Joe Biden is even remotely in the mix just shows how strong the DNC is. But that's not the point. They're trying to paint Donald Trump as MAGA extremists and the MAGA base as extremists. The DNC chair, Jamie Harrison, okay, he said that this is the most far-right extreme MAGA party ever. I would argue that it's exactly the opposite. They're extremists with support for Donald Trump. If you look at the exit polling, Iowa supporters about their candidate, how extreme are you about your candidate? How enthusiastic are you about your candidate? 50% Donald Trump, extreme. DeSantis, 23%. Nikki, only 9%. Nobody's bought into Nikki. And 82% of Trump voters said they have made up their mind. They're not going anywhere.
Yep.
So they have extreme loyalty to Trump.
I don't mob you guys, Patrick, but nothing makes me happier, especially last night, because of everything that's happening, is watching CNN and MSNBC and all those loser shills from Rachel Maddow to Joy Reid to Jen Psaki, the ginger swindler, just losing their minds.
You want to play the Joe Reid?
Please do, because by the way, I don't watch porn. That is better than any porn I've ever seen, and it started. And is this the one where Joy Reid says that what's it called? Nikki Haley lost because of, guess what? You're never gonna guess.
Please play this.
Racism. Let's see it.
New Hampshire. And I think to the point that you made, Steph, I mean, it's the elephant in the room. She's still a brown lady.
Oh, Jesus.
That's got to try to win in a party that is deeply anti-immigrant and which accepts the notion that you can say immigrants are poisoning the blood of our country. She's getting, birthered by Donald Trump. And I don't care how much the donor class likes her, which will ramp up a lot, the better she does in New Hampshire. So it's still a challenge. I don't see how she becomes the nominee of that party with Donald Trump still around. I can't picture it happening. Maybe it could happen. Ron DeSantis' only argument for staying in it is he's the white guy, that he can still make the appeal.
Pause it right there. I have a question for her.
Argument.
If she hates Trump so much, why did she go get Trump's hair? I'm just curious, man. Like, you have a million different options on a different hair to have, and you get Trump. Look at Trump's picture below.
Yeah.
Dude, you got Trump's hair.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, there's no one a bigger closet supporter of Trump than you.
Guys,
you're amazing.
This is cultural appropriation at the highest level.
Yeah,
exactly. This is what they're talking about.
That's so
that jacket looks like a white professor I had in college 40 years ago.
But notice how it has. Listen to me. They're already starting.
She's a spy.
It's race. It's MAGA. By the way, when people say it's a MAGA extremist, you know what the word MAGA, the abbreviation is? Make America Great Again. When did that become such a racist?
Yeah.
Wait, you want to make America great again? You Nazi, you piece of shit. By the way, all these people better bow down and kiss Trump's feet because now they're relevant again. Now, for the next 4 years, if he wins, they're going to have something to talk about because now nobody watches you. Nobody cares. Now all those green-haired, crazy, screaming, the world's over, now they have something to watch because guess what? We're back to a racist country and we're back to the end of the world.
I want to say that.
Yeah, we're back.
One of the weakest words in the English language in America today is racist.
I love it. Yeah.
I remember when that used to actually mean something. I remember when I heard they were racist, I was like, oh shit, the racists are here. The KKK's here. The neo-Nazis are here. They're here. The racists are here. It's the most watered down, weak word in America today. It means nothing. People shout it. It's the boy who cried wolf. It's the boy who cried racist. At this point, and a lot of us fell for it in 2016. Donald Trump, he's racist. He's racist.
Well,
nobody's falling for it, especially while you stole Trump's win.
Adam, don't say, Adam, I love you to death. Do not say nobody's going to fall for it. I am still curious to see because they're starting it already. All they're going to do is go back to their old playbook. And I'm hoping. And if you're listening out there, and you are, some people are far left, some people are far right. If you're on that left, don't buy into the bullshit, okay? He's not racist. This isn't a racist country. Yes, there's some racist people down in Arkansas. You're going
hey,
listen, yeah, you're going to find them. But the majority of us, we're trying to get better and go past all that bullshit. Stop taking us backwards and wake the hell up.
Can we talk about, Tom, did you want to add something?
Yeah, very simply. If you want to know what Trump derangement syndrome looks like, that's what it looks like.
That's exactly it.
That is what a deranged argument looks like, and that is where the phrase Trump derangement syndrome came from.
She has Maddow, too.
It's her and Rachel Maddow that don't know what to say, so they say things like that.
Yeah, but you know what? Let me tell you, though, Tom, honestly, as much as I want to say, of course, they still have a very loyal audience that's going to agree with anything they say. I don't think they have the kind of credibility that they once had. I think it's hurting them. By the way, Nikki Haley. Here's what Nikki Haley does in her acceptance speech. Rob, do you have a clip of Nikki Haley when she gives a talk and she says, what we learned here, that it came down to 2 candidates is what it came down. I'm like, what 2 candidates? You were 3rd place. I listened to her speech and I'm thinking to myself, like, is the audience is screaming as if she won. Rob, you got a clip that I just texted you. If you can play that one that I sent you. By the way, here's some of the things that she said. I just want to tell you what she said in her speech. Vinny, did you listen to her speech or no?
I didn't watch the ending of her. I heard you talk about it.
All right, so let me tell you what she said. Let me tell you what she said. So I was not expecting her to say this, but she said this. So some of the words, okay? She trashed Trump. She said Trump and Biden are both 80 years old. They put our kids in debt. They don't have a vision for our future. They don't have a vision for our future. America deserves better. Our campaign is the last hope of stopping the Trump-Biden nightmare. And she goes on and on and on. Go ahead and play this clip here. Watch it. I'm telling you, if you listen to this without knowing the numbers, you would have thought she won. Go ahead.
New Hampshire, in South Carolina, and beyond. I can safely say,
listen to this.
Tonight, Iowa made this Republican primary a 2-person race.
You're 3rd place.
Yeah. What the hell are you talking about?
This is what's called a spin job, guys, in politics.
Oh, my God. Think about it. $70 million later.
But here's what I'm saying. The donors can't be this dumb. Donors who have money, you made your money because you're smart. You busted your ass. You can't be that blind to see this and say, what are we doing giving this person money?
Yeah.
You know how bad the score was? The score isn't you lost by a field goal or a touchdown.
Can I ask you a question?
You lost by 5 touchdowns.
A couple things. a couple things. I reacted the same way to this. So I went to things that sometimes are inconvenient to look at, the damn numbers. And what was interesting is all the polls leading up to this had her 3 points ahead of DeSantis. Every poll. I looked at everything that was lined up. The only one, and these are all polls that were through the 13th, the 14th, the 12th, and the 11th. So these are polls happening PBD up to the minute. So instead, wait a minute. She wasn't second place in Iowa. That's what all the polls said she would be. She ended up almost 3 points behind DeSantis. But this is what she was saying. She is talking to DeSantis when she says that. When she says it's now a two-person race. You want to know why? Because she has 2x, actually 3x the polling in New Hampshire over DeSantis.
Can I ask you a question?
Hang on. And South Carolina, we'll get to this in a minute. What she was saying is that DeSantis is gone. That's what she was trying to say there. Iowa made this a two-horse race. In other words, DeSantis didn't get close enough that his donors and campaign can keep going. That's what she's trying to say there. He's gone, and now it's a two-horse race. Me and the guy that trounced everybody.
If you're a donor,
did you just forget Trump's name for a second?
Oh, yeah, DJT.
Trump, exactly.
DJT.
So now check this out. Let's go to this. I got something to say to you, Nikki Haley. And Rob, be ready with the graphic.
That's one.
Here we go.
One dead
Here
tree.
we go.
One dead tree in his hand.
Buckle
one
up.
Dead tree.
Vinny, buckle up.
Haley is got 4x on DeSantis.
Tom,
South
is that
Carolina.
the chart you want him to show?
Yep. So
Okay.
Haley's got 4x DeSantis in South Carolina, but Trump has almost 3x Haley, and that's her home state. Let me tell you a story about home state. This is the 2000 election. Gore is from Tennessee. If he wins his home state, the Supreme Court doesn't have to weigh in on Florida. Look at this. If he had won his home state, he wins the presidency.
So you're saying Nikki Haley is Al Gore?
Nikki Haley's Al Gore. She's sitting here with this inconvenient truth. You're talking about a two-horse race, and you're not even leading your home state.
So it's better off to drop out now instead of being embarrassed when New Hampshire comes around your own home state.
I want to know what her donors and the strategists in the RNC are saying. Hey, Nick, you don't even have a bounce coming in. Just let me get South Carolina. I'm going to win. You don't have a bounce coming. Trump has got you 2.5 to 1 in South Carolina. What do you think?
Okay, so I got a question for you. I got
one for Tom.
So she was.
I had one 5 minutes ago.
Let me ask. And by the way, for those of you guys that are voting with Manect, Vinny got 15 votes already. If you haven't downloaded Manect to ask these guys a question,
come on, baby.
You can QR code Vinny, Tom, or Adam. Ask them any questions. They'll respond back to you in text.
Guys, let's go.
Or
Please.
video,
Let's
or have
go,
a
guys.
15
Just look at the leaderboard, guys. Guys are just newcomers.
They're rich.
All right.
Go
Newcomers.
for me.
Download the app. Ask a question from any of these guys. Let me go back to Tom.
Sorry.
Here's my question for you. Tom. So what are the chances? Because the Nikki Haley donors are money people. These are not poor people. These are not, small influencers. These are Wall Street people, right? What are the chances that this happens? What are the chances that these guys call Trump, have a meeting with Trump, or send a handler to have a meeting with one of Trump's handlers and say, look, we will publicly say that it's most likely you're going to win if you take Nikki Haley as a VP, okay? Do you think the money guys from Wall Street, the Jamie Dimons, do you think these guys who are sitting there, big, Bill Ackman just left his party, by the way. I don't know if you guys saw that or not. He gave $1 million to one of the candidates that Andrew Yang's been telling me about.
Dean Phillips.
Dean Phillips, yeah. So what are the chances Wall Street calls Trump and says, we will 100% back you up if you pick Haley as your VP?
Is there a chance they're doing that? Is there a chance you're going to bring the money? Yeah, I think there's a chance they do that. Right now is the time for the backroom dealings. This is where everybody comes together and starts, hey, who's you going to support? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? And this is where 15 people on stage become 2 or 3. Because remember, South Carolina is where Biden was anointed and they played the games there. So these first 3 primaries is where all the backroom dealings happen. Do I think that backroom dealing could happen? Yeah, sure it can. But then you've got him, she's not even leading her home state. I got her 2 to 1. What deal are we talking about? Can you see Trump coming back saying, I don't need you?
No, but he's saying you don't need Nikki Haley. But Trump is all about polls and all about endorsements. So what if Trump understands the power of endorsements and nobody knows how to use endorsements better than Trump? Nobody does.
Period.
Trump knows how to, just in his talk yesterday, He says, look at this man. Look at this fine gentleman here.
Doug
I
Burgum.
see him everywhere with his suit and the bricks. Matter of fact, come on up here.
Yeah,
come on up
he's a
here.
Marlboro man.
Yeah, come on up here. And look
the
at this
guy?
man. Maybe the best looking man I've ever seen
the
in my
first
life.
guy to
I call him
endorse
the
him.
Marlboro man. He's the
Marlboro.
first man. So, come on, Doug. Where's Doug at?
Doug
And
Burgum and his beautiful
Doug was
wife.
at his event.
My guy?
Yeah.
Doug was there. Give him a shout out.
Doug was at his event. So, but think about it. If
presidential.
imagine Jamie Dimon from Chase comes out and says, there's a 70% chance Trump is winning this thing, and we have to just accept it. And he says, I actually don't think it's going to be as bad as people think it is. Do you think Trump's going to use that and say, look, when J.P. Morgan, some people trust him, some people don't, with Jamie Dimon, but even Jamie Dimon's endorsing me right now. He would use that. He doesn't care about Nikki Haley. He cares about who her donors are. Do you think that's a strategic move, or zero chance he's not going to entertain it?
Last week he said he knows his VP is going to be, and I don't think anybody is handicapping it at Nikki Haley. I don't think so. People are talking. The biggest things that I see on Threads, and I stay away from the conspiracy.
You use Facebook Threads?
No, I do not. I do not. This is not an endorsement. It's Facebook Threads. I look at it, and I'm seeing a lot of people at certain levels out there that are saying there's been a lot of talk about Tulsi Gabbard and Lake. I'm not sure about either one, but he has been saying really good things about Lake.
This weekend,
you're going to be a really wonderful person. You're going to be a fine senator.
Multiple conversations with people who are names in politics. And if I told you Tulsi's name came up 3 times, that's a small number. Okay.
Wow.
And these are people that are
in.
Gavaina.
Gavaina
in Assyrian means like
in.
Gavai.
You have to use both
Kishana
hands.
Gavai.
Kishana Gavai.
Chop. So if
Tom, you knew that already.
Tom speaks.
Tulsi.
No, I said that I haven't spoken to the depth of people that Pat was speaking to.
What Tulsi and
Pat
Trump,
has talked to deeper people, but I'm not. I'm looking at campaign strategists and people along those lines.
You know the guy that I talked to?
But
And
yes.
that's a very
Adam,
good.
that's
You
exactly
know why I think it's a very good move? You know why I think Tulsi's great?
Why?
So, the DEI people are going to be like, female, this, that. Forget about female. Okay. She would be great if she was a man. Tulsi's great, period. Okay?
Strong.
I'm not, you're great you're a great basketball player for a female. No.
You're a good
Tulsi's
player.
great, period. She is military. She has the independent vote. She has access to the independent podcasters.
Attractive,
that
which
she
doesn't
would
hurt.
go on, and she would go on those podcasts and sell Trump and all that stuff. And I think eventually that could lead into a different kind of a career for her long term. But I think a lot of people want Tulsi as a VP.
And can I just one last, Adam, just really fast, because I want to know what you guys, because I've been trying to ask it for a while. You're a donor. You're donating to the Nikki Haley campaign. You know pretty early there's no chance, especially when it comes to Trump, right, Tom? So what's the incentive for somebody to keep giving? I'm just curious. Is it for the future? Is it why do you keep dumping all this money when you know she's not going to win, unless you thought that they were going to get Trump and get him out with all these indictments?
I can answer that really short.
Yeah.
The horseshoe and the uniparty are at play here.
Yep.
And there are many people up there that really thought that these lawsuits and everything and getting him off the ballot was going to do it. Now you've got a Supreme Court that he largely picked that's going to hear arguments on February 8th and make a decision around February 21st about Colorado and getting him back on the ballot. And if that happens, Maine, he's back on the ballot, it's over. And there are many people that think that's going to happen. But at the time they started, Vinny, you're right. The logic was, the horseshoe.
Yes.
Adam talks about the horseshoe very eloquently, about how the parties kind of bend back together. Excuse me, that elite top of parties on deep programs and deep funding, they kind of bend back toward each other. And so I think at the beginning, they thought, hey, we just got to get through this season and he's going to be off the ballot. There were high-end Republicans that felt that way, that were behind her. And now they're coming back. And I think Pat's right. I think there are strategic discussions that are being had behind closed doors, because this is when they always happen. It's not a surprise. This is the season of deals.
Tom,
New Hampshire to South Carolina, that is the season of deals.
Tom, if there was a nail, you know what you did? You took a hammer and you hit it right on the head.
100%.
That's what he just did.
So Pat brought up the conversation of whether Nikki Haley would be VP. I don't think so. I think she's got as much as a chance of being VP as Chris Christie has to be the Attorney General. So if you look at Nikki Haley's polling exits,
you're saying there's a chance.
There is a chance.
There's no chance. So, this is according to Meet the Press, that if among Haley's supporters, if Trump were the nominee, who they would vote for, Haley supporters, 43% would vote for Biden, 23% would vote for Trump. Let me say that again. Haley supporters are the uniparty, more likely to vote for Biden than for Trump. I think when Trump gets wind of these polls of who's behind Haley, a lot of it is big donors. I'm out, you're fired. But you bring up Tulsi Gabbard. You have to understand one thing. Everyone's very focused on the 2024 election. I get it. If and when Trump wins, or even if Biden wins, who knows? This is their last term. They're done. Whoever the VP is automatically the favorite to win the presidency in 2028. Whether it's Tulsi,
God, that would be.
Whether it's Tulsi, whether it's Carrie Lake, whether it's Sarah Huckabee Dogface Sanders, whatever it is, or Mike.
Why are you gonna dig at her, bro? She's not. What does her looks have to do with anything?
You gotta go with an attractive female.
No, you have to go with.
What's my girl that I like? Christy Noem. That's the girl. That's the girl.
It won't be Christy Noem.
It won't be.
That's the girl.
I can tell you right
I'm
now.
just letting you know that's the girl. I'm just saying
that
this.
they'll be the favorite.
Whoever the
For
VP
different
is.
reasons, Christy Noem won't be the candidate.
Okay, I want to hear that. But whoever it is, guys, you acknowledge Trump's VP, if he wins, would automatically be the favorite in 2028.
Well, and I think either VP.
So he's going to want undying loyalty from whoever that VP is.
Yep.
If he doesn't have it, you're out.
If you think about Sarah Huckabee Sanders, and it's funny that you brought her up, and not to change topics, but did you hear the story about what happened with her and Trump?
Yeah. You have to tell that story. Tell the story.
All right, so for everybody out there, this is hilarious that you brought up. I wasn't even going to go there, but there's a summit. I'm going to do it fast. A summit in Singapore, 2018. Trump is talking to Kim Jong-un, all right? And where he reluctantly accepted a tic tac from Trump, who dramatically blew it in the air to reassure Kim that it was a breath mint and not a capsule poison. Think about it. Trump had to go, look, I'm not dead. So they talked about sports, women's soccer. Then Sanders says she looked up to notice Kim Jong-un is staring at her because she's hot. And he appeared to wink at me, and she appeared stunned, right?
Sarah Huckabee Sanders.
Sarah Huckabee Sanders, Kim Jong-un looked at her with his dope-ass haircut and winked at her. So she goes, all I could think was, what just happened? Surely Kim Jong-un did not just mark me. Then later in the presidential limousine, the beast, on the way to the airport, Sanders tells, Trump, like, Kim Jong-un. And Trump was like, he hit on you. He did. He effing hit on you. And then she goes, sir, please stop. I'm a Christian. And then you know what Trump says to her? Well, Sarah, that settles it. You're going to North Korea and you're taking one for the team. Oh, yeah. Your husband and kids will miss you, but you'll be a hero to your country.
You're taking one for the team, Sarah.
Yeah, and by the way, there's witnesses that corroborated the story. If you don't think that that's the dopest, that's why I love Trump. It's because there's shit like that.
100%.
Oh my God,
what a loser Kim Jong-un is. He can have any girl he wants. Sarah Huckabee Sanders.
War. He's like, listen,
I'm going to double down on this to the day I die.
You don't want him to nuke. Just hook up with him once. It won't hurt.
You like big fat pigs. Here we go.
Oh my God, what a G.
You know what? I don't like memoirs that put those kind of things out, and I'll tell you why.
I love because
have some fun for once in your life. Because the media is going to take it and run with it, saying you're sexist and everything.
You know, cancel Tom at this point.
You can ask Sarah Huckabee Sanders. Did you think it was kind of funny? Did you think it was there? She said, "I thought it was funny, but I thought it was a little inappropriate." But you were privately in a limo with 8 other people, a couple Secret Service guys, the president, a few people, so it wasn't like one-on-one, and you get all upset about these things.
But she's the one that put in the
Tom, it's called locker room talk.
The only reason that story is okay, the only way I'm okay with that story.
Because she put it in her book.
No. I'm only okay with that story one way. Only one way.
Huh.
If she called Trump and Trump gave the okay.
I agree.
If she didn't make that call to Trump, I have a very big problem with it.
Very good point.
I'm just telling you, because if you did that without my permission, then we don't have a relationship. We're done. I can't have you around in a private setting. You can always have a, what do you call it? A
professional away from me.
No. There's in football. What do they call when you
stiff arm?
Stiff arm. You got a stiff arm. You can be away and we can see at each other. Hi, great. But behind closed doors with a door, and you want to do that. No. By the way, if she called Trump, what do you think Trump would say?
Go for it.
I think so as well.
100%.
But guess what? If she didn't, Trump will never trust her again. That's my
I didn't
problem.
say it like that, but that's
For
a great,
example,
great
let's just say Adam's writing a book. Okay, you're writing a book. Tom's writing a book.
Yep.
I'm like, look, Pat, that one time when that happened, are you okay if I post it? I'm like, let me think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I say, no, we'll go ahead and do it. Great. When people come out and say, man, can't believe Adam said this about you. I said, he called me.
Yeah.
He asked.
He called me, and I said yes. And you got to respect the guy that did that. I'm okay with that. That's the truth. That's what happened.
You think you think she did it?
I don't know. I'm not.
No,
gonna
because
speculate.
Vinny, look at it this way. Let's say you're writing a book, and
It'd be a pop-up, just letting you know.
No,
Vinny can barely read,
seriously.
Tom.
I read gooder than you.
You have to.
You can't
You have to
read
get
good,
permission.
no way.
You have to get permission from your boss. Pat is right. Let's say you're writing a book, and you are hypothetically Obama's chef, and you're going to put some stuff in a book.
Jesus.
Okay.
So you're saying he didn't get a permission?
So he didn't get a permission.
If you don't get permission, it could affect.
And then you wind
great
up
white shark somehow showed up in a lake.
It could affect your swimming.
That's pretty crazy.
Okay, so here's the next prediction before we wrap the segment up and go to the next story. Who do you think is dropping out next and when?
Ron
Tom,
DeSantis.
when?
Oh,
when?
great
right.
question.
As soon as he fails in New Hampshire. When is New Hampshire?
When is New Hampshire?
When is New Hampshire, Rob?
Is it 2 months? A month?
I thought it was
February?
no.
I think it's coming.
Come on, talk to me,
No,
Tom.
it's in a couple weeks.
I thought it was 2 weeks.
When is New Hampshire? No, it's not September 10th.
No.
New Hampshire. Anyway, so you're saying right after
Rob
New
will find
Hampshire.
it. Once he finishes in third place in New Hampshire, I think he's finished.
You think?
Let's get real here, guys. All we're doing is perpetuating what's inevitable.
It's inevitable.
Nikki's out. Ron's out. Trump's the winner. Even Vivek said before he dropped out.
January 23. It was 2
Yeah.
weeks.
Okay, exactly.
weeks.
It's
I'll
coming
say a
up.
month.
He said, he predicted, let's see if Vivek knows what he's talking about in this regard, that he believes that DeSantis is going to drop out and become Nikki's VP. I don't see it. I don't believe it, but that's what he said. Do you recall that?
I do. And by the way, that would be the kiss of death. Bless you. That would be the kiss of death to DeSantis's presidential run. If he dropped out to be Haley's VP.
I think
kiss of death.
Yep. Both of them.
What do you mean?
I think both of them are going nowhere, and if they join together, it's a road to nowhere.
Yeah, but
They'll
the
have
difference
no
is,
history in the party.
DeSantis has a shot at doing something in the future if he gets behind Trump. Haley does not.
Nope.
Haley does not.
No, because the right knows and they realize what she is and they expose her for being the war hawk and being the girl that got rich.
If Haley is driven by being a president, here's one thing Haley can do, and it would throw everybody a full-blown curveball. You ready? If she agrees to be a VP to Newsom or Michelle Obama or something like that and stays as a Republican. This has happened before where two tickets, this was 80 years ago or something like that, where a Republican chose a Democrat as a VP or a Democrat chose a Republican as a VP, something like that took place. That would be one way for her to flip. If the Democratic Party really wants to have a shakeup, guess what? I think Haley is for sale. If Democratic Party really wants to have a shakeup, if she got a couple $1 million from a Boeing contract, are you kidding me? What would a $30 million Netflix documentary do?
Sold.
A lot.
Sold.
So to me, there is that part. I think, again, I've never spoken to this person. I don't know who Nikki Haley is. I've never had a conversation. I would have loved to have a conversation with her on the podcast, but she doesn't do podcasts.
You tried?
We invited, I think at one point even Rob, they got back and they were going to do it, and last minute they canceled, something like that. That's exactly what happened. Last minute they canceled.
She was snapping her fingers at Rob, and he said, I can't do
when you do that, you're telling the world, I'm too good for you guys to come talk to you. And we're going to take your word for it, if that's what it is. But if she wants to be part of the pompous community, man, there's plenty of pompous people on the left that she can go join. It would be a perfect fit for her.
Big time.
So the question you had asked was, when do you think DeSantis is going to go out? Look, the election is next week. The primary election in New Hampshire is next week. Emerson had the most accurate polling in New Hampshire. They were closer to what the actual vote came out as anybody else. And they have the most recent polling in New Hampshire. Trump 45, Haley 28, Christie 12, DeSantis 7, Ramaswamy 6. So either DeSantis is either out this week or he does it.
DeSantis is out this week, New Hampshire?
Either he goes out this week or he goes out next Tuesday.
Did you see his speech or no?
Yeah. Well, his speech was borderline psychotic. What did DeSantis say? He attacks the media. He said the media is defending Donald Trump. They are the veritable Praetorian Guard, and most people don't even know what that was. It was a Roman Guard.
That's a gladiator.
And, and when I saw that thing from DeSantis, I said to myself, man, those are the last words of a desperate candidate. So next week, he may finish 4th next week.
What do you mean 4th? There's only 3 candidates in it.
No. He's tied with Vivek.
Vivek dropped out.
Is Vivek still on the paper ballot?
No, he dropped out.
No,
that's what dropped out means.
I think the funniest thing that happened with Ron DeSantis, though, some guy walked up to him while he was with his wife and gave him a participation trophy,
I don't know New
and it was
Hampshire.
Hilarious. Did you see that, Adam?
No, the guy that gave the
participation.
He goes,
you can put in your. I don't know what the rules are on New Hampshire.
Tom, we're on the same page here. DeSantis is done. He's finished. He's cooked. He's gone.
Right.
Whether it happens this week or next week after New Hampshire.
By the way, did you see what
sayonara.
DeSantis' campaign manager said?
Absentee voting.
No, what?
Play the clip I just sent you, Rob. It's 26 seconds. DeSantis' campaign manager lost it.
What?
When he was being interviewed on, I want to say NBC or whoever this is. What channel
Today?
is this?
Yesterday?
Yeah, NBC.
Oh, wow.
He was furious to say, why are you guys calling it? Why are you guys calling it so early? Why are you guys calling it? Why are you guys calling it? And partly they're right on why you're calling it, but they were calling it because the lead was so, massive that it's like, listen, guy, what do you...
That's this guy?
Yeah, can you play this clip?
Hope you enjoy. I think it was results from some sort of survey or something, not even true votes.
Well, no. This was projected based on data and science.
And not actual election results.
And we'll have some of our experts explain
Voters
how
decide
that was decided and why it was called in the way it was later in the show.
He's
but
right, by the way. I don't disagree with that. Because I don't like it if the left does it, the right. I don't care if anybody does it. Just wait. The numbers are going to go a little bit higher. You got a little bit more to go, and then you can say, and the way you can do it based on math, because the last Iowa, I think it was 180,000 people that casted a vote. This time it was, can you pull, some numbers said 116, some said 130. It wasn't a big number.
No.
So you know why a lot of people didn't even show up? They're like, listen, this is for what?
Why?
Trump has got such a big lead. What am I voting for? There's no reason to show up.
And even in our last presidential election, which was so contested, the most of the news media, the big ones televised and the online ones, waited till the polls close. And they would say, we're waiting till the poll closes in Wyoming. However, Trump has a very significant lead over Biden. They would say that. But we're waiting to call it and put the number on the board until the polls close. They've usually have had that sort of, I'm going to use a word here, gentlemanly approach to the elections. Yeah. So I think that guy has a point. Why don't we wait till the polls close?
Yeah, well, look, to use some football terms, when the KC Chiefs are up 24-7 against the Dolphins with 4 minutes remaining in the game, they're like, all right, guys, we're ready to call it. And then there's people being like, hold on, there's still 4 minutes left.
You never know.
Believe me, the Dolphins aren't making a comeback. DeSantis ain't making a comeback.
Yeah,
Trump
but
won
if
the
you're
election.
if you're watching that video, they had only done Trump at 25,000.
No, I get that.
So to me, all I'm saying is wait another hour. Like, what do you wait another hour? So, for example, for us, like when we would do recognition, if you did it too early, guys would bitch and moan about it. I'm like, I don't even want to hear you bitching and moaning. So guess what? Let's wait till the results are done. And here's what. Guess you lost. Okay, cool. Boom. Let's move on. And then that was that's the only thing I'm saying that I support what the guy is saying. And, Tom kind of has an explanation. Look at the smile on Tom. So what are you laughing at, Tom?
I'm laughing at what Adam just said. Yeah, because in the NFL, unlike Arizona elections, Dolphin players don't mysteriously and suddenly appear in the end zone.
Yeah.
So it's like, 7 more for the Dolphins. Where'd that guy come from?
Yeah, weird.
Yeah, definitely
Sometimes
weird.
the Dolphins make me
Anyways,
cry.
what a rough week to be a Dallas Cowboys fan, right? Like the worst loss in the history.
Dakota, God, because their quarterback's name is Dakota, and they suck.
Dakota.
By the way, so
Dak Prescott's name is Dakota.
Yeah, Stephen A. Smith's loving it, though.
He's
had a great
loving
week with Jason Whitlock and now the Cowboys.
But it's pretty bad on what happened there. So let's go to the next story here. FAA's diversity push includes focus on hiring people. Rob, if you want to get that video ready. Folks, brace for impact. FAA's diversity push includes focus on hiring people with, severe intellectual and psychiatric disabilities.
What?
Yeah, that's not a joke.
Did you guys understand what I just? Let me read this article to you to see what FAA is doing and what direction these guys are going. The Federal Aviation Administration has launched a diversity and inclusion hiring initiative targeting individuals with severe intellectual disabilities. Look at it right there on the screen. Okay, and psychiatric disorders and various physical and mental conditions as specified on the agency's website. The FAA's approach is grounded in the belief that diversity is integral to achieving FAA's mission of ensuring safe and efficient travel across our nation and beyond. Controversy has arisen regarding the potential safety implications of prioritizing diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives in aviation industry. Figures like Elon Musk have expressed concerns asking, do you want to fly in an airplane where they prioritize DEI hiring over your safety? While actively promoting diversity, and FAA maintains that individuals with severe mental and physical disabilities constitute an underrepresented segment in the federal workforce. Here's a CEO of United Airlines being interviewed, and the guy even pushes him, which the interviewers is probably even more annoying than the CEO when you listen to. Let's just go ahead and watch it for yourself. Go ahead, Rob.
This is Scott Kirby from United.
Go ahead,
CEO.
Rob.
How is diversity and diversity targets working into the Aviation Academy?
We have committed that 50% of the class of the classes will be women or people of color.
Yeah, that's right.
Today, only 19% of our pilots at United Airlines are women or people of color.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, from all the data I've seen, that's the highest of any airline in the country.
White males don't just dominate in the cockpits, also in the C-suite at United Airlines.
Well, look, at United, I'm proud of the diversity that we actually have in our C-suite. I think if you look around corporate America.
Correct me if I'm saying, though, so this is just based off your website, the people you list as executives, but out of 11 people, 3 are women. I believe 1 is a person of color.
That's correct. But, in corporate America, I think,
That's a low bar. How do you raise your own
bar? Well, a lot of this is, focusing on it. We have programs one of the things we do is for every job when we're doing an interview, we require women and people of color to be involved in the interview process, bringing people in early in their careers as well.
He's now trying to
giving them those
really impress this. He can pause it right there. Vinny, thoughts?
Okay, guys.
Was some of this sarcasm?
No.
What is happening?
Adam, when it comes
This is as real as it is. This is not a.
No.
Was the guy
satire.
grilling him?
He's grilling him for not being DEI enough.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
He's
Go ahead, Vinny.
He's like, you're only at 19%. I need you higher. He's like, we're doing better than anyone, buddy.
This is the FAA. I want everybody to know, just last week, a freaking door flew off of an airplane because some guy didn't do their jobs right. So listen to this, and I'm going to break down what you said.
And a little boy lost his shirt.
And a boy lost his shirt. God forbid, I hope it wasn't his lucky one.
Or all the passengers lost their shit.
Guys, listen to the language, okay? They're hiring severe, not mild, not regular, but severe intellectual disabilities, which translates to dumb, psychiatric disorders, crazy, and various physical and mental conditions. Mentally retarded, let's say for what it is. And by the way, that, who you guys just saw, was Scott Kirby. Rob, I sent you a link of who he is. He said 50% are going to be women, people of color, and LGBTQ community. It's called, United calls it Flying with Pride. Show this, Rob. This is him in drag, and I don't give a shit. I don't care what he does.
Wait, who's this?
This is the CEO. Keep going, Rob.
That's the CEO.
The CEO of United goes and he's incorporating drag into their business and sponsoring drag shows. That's no wonder why he wants everybody, because he wants to be inclusion of all his friends. And listen, Adam, everybody out there, with all due respect, if I'm about to board a flight and I just happen to look into the cockpit and I see 2 lesbian pilots, one is Indian, one is Middle Eastern, one is wearing a helmet and eating Jell-O, I'm running the fuck off that plane. I'm sorry. Listen, let me explain something to you. I'm gonna be like, no, and I'm leaving. But because hear me out, DEI, I'm totally fine with it if it's at Starbucks and the barista is a non-binary vegan with green hair that is wearing a mask with a bull ring. I don't give a shit. It's coffee. If they mess up, I'll be like, okay, who's the normal? Give me the regular coffee. This is my life. This is flying on an airplane. And I'm telling you guys right now, how long do you think until this thing backfires and God forbid a United Airline crashes because of this shit right here? When are we going to stop playing the game of, guys, we got to make everybody happy? I will never, ever get on another United Airline flight ever. And if you're a United Airline frequent flyer, mile, whatever, I would look into either getting your money, having them cash that in, because it's horse shit. What? No, by the way, that's the FAA. That means they're hiring everybody at the airport, everybody that works for the airlines are going to be crazy. Like, can you imagine the flight attendants now going, hey, everybody put on your seatbelt, even though I don't know how to use it? Like, what are we talking about? What are we talking about?
Can I add one thing on how correct Vinny is? And I'm speaking from personal experience. This is why DEI must DIE, okay?
Please.
Just play around with some letters. You brought up the airplane analogy, right? If you look into the cockpit. Now, the reason I say that I have personal experience with this, my father, all he did, he ran a business in the 80s and 90s. He hired only handicapped individuals. Did you hear me? Tom, what is that?
Go.
No. I'm following you.
He had a marketing company. This is pre-internet.
Yeah.
They handed out flyers in the neighborhood. Okay, my father was born with cerebral palsy. It only affected him physically, mentally very sharp, very smart guy. To ingratiate himself with the community, he hired specifically handicapped people to give them jobs. All they had to do was walk around the block and deliver flyers.
Nice.
Put it in mailbox. There was a good chance they missed the mailbox. Okay, I'm just letting you know.
Being honest.
Every night at dinner, I would have mentally handicapped individuals, we called them a different word back then, retards. At dinner, I was raised among these people, okay? It was the most insane, obnoxious, hilarious dinners of my life, hence why I became a comedian. But my father, pillar of the community, gave these guys jobs because they had no other opportunities to have jobs. What's my point? There's a difference between handing out flyers and flying a plane.
I know.
Okay.
What a great point.
Yeah.
That's my point.
What
There's a difference.
About?
So when you look in the cockpit and the guy turns around, he's like, hello. It's like, no, I'm cool with you greeting people down there, but you hit the nail on the head. Bingo.
Thank you.
Severe intellectual disabilities.
What are we talking about?
This is like, stop playing with the planes.
And it's not a joke. They're going, by the way, it's already in.
What Adam is saying is so true because, everybody has a friend that somebody in their family has severe intellectual or psychiatric disabilities. There's nobody that's listening to this that doesn't have somebody there. This doesn't mean our level of sympathy needs to get to the point of compromising the safety of families traveling, whatever the job they may have. That's not. You go to. I go to this movie theater. Every time I go to the movie theater, the guy that checks my ticket, he's in a wheelchair. And you know what I think about? You know what's honestly what I think about? Yeah. Good for AMC for hiring this guy. You know what? I'm like, you know what? The first thought, I'm like, good for AMC. Yeah. Good for you. He's always there. And all he does is go to the, what do you call it? The QR code. And me, Tico, and Dylan, and the kids, we go in and watch the movie.
Awesome.
Right. That versus this, slightly different. Now, somebody may say, what if their job isn't that big of a job and the liability and the responsibilities and they're fair? That is a fair argument you're making. I think the part that is delusional and confusing is the following. What percentage of 100 girls under the age of 12 versus 100 boys, you just do a basic market research. How many of you want to grow up to be a pilot? What percentage of girls under the age of 12 will say, I want to be a pilot, versus what percentage of girls under the age of 12, boys will say they want to be a pilot? If 30% of boys say they want to be a pilot and 5% of girls say they want to be a pilot, and it's 6x, the reason why companies have men as pilots is not because they're racist. It's because more boys want to be a pilot one day and girls don't. What percentage of nurses, same thing with kids with nurses, what percent, you can go on with these questions. Yeah. You can't force a career upon a kid that doesn't want the damn job just because you're trying to bow down to the ESG community and kiss their asses. That's the problem the logical, reasonable American people have. And I understand Vinny's frustration. I understand the humor with the perfect analogy he just gave with his father. But this lacks common sense. So we can joke about this all we want. It's no longer funny, FAA, and it's no longer funny, United Airlines. People are sitting there saying, I just want you to get me from LA to New York, get me from Dallas to Miami. That's all I want. Honestly, I don't care what that person is in there, what nationality they are, what background they are, if they're male or female. Just prove the results. And then we can sit there and say, okay, this makes sense. By the way, I'm going to go to the next story. The next story is the Hertz story, okay? So I asked the question yesterday, why is Hertz dropping all these Teslas, okay? And Tom gave the most logical, reasonable answer. I'm like, okay, that makes sense to me on why they would do that. Hertz is selling, no, I'm sorry, Tom didn't give that. Rob gave that yesterday when we were
good job, Rob.
in podcast prep. Hertz is selling 20,000 EVs so it can buy more gas guzzlers. The Verge. Look at the title of it. The title is doing what? It's trashing Hertz, meaning no matter what Hertz does, they're not winning.
Yes.
They're selling 20,000 EVs so it can buy more gas guzzlers, but is Hertz making the right decision? If you read the full story and logic behind it, it sounds like they are. So 20,000 cars, approximately 1/3 of its global EV fleet is what they're selling, and use the proceeds to purchase gas-powered vehicles after facing unexpected depreciation and damage costs amounting to $245 million for its EVs. The decision aims to better balance supply against expected demand of EVs, as the company couldn't find enough customers for its EVs despite previously setting a 25% EV fleet target for 2024. Again, I love this when they say by 2035, there will be no gas guzzling cars in the state of California. And then common sense hits, results hits, and you realize it's not an effective method, Newsom, but it's a good campaign message for you to give. Yep. Hertz shift from scaling up to EV ambition to selling off its EV reflects the challenges faced by the company and the broader industry as softening demand and EV ownership challenges such as charging and upkeep impact plans for EV adoption. While EV sales continue to grow, the rate of growth has slowed, prompting companies to reassess their EV investment. Rob, you have a Tesla yourself, right? And you're a Tesla owner. So what logic do you see with the story here yourself?
Well, first of all, whenever there's, from my experience, anytime there's an issue with your Tesla, the only person that can fix it, if there's any type of mechanical issue, is a Tesla representative.
Or Elon Musk.
Yes. Like when I needed to get my tires rotated, I didn't take it to a shop. They came to me. They sent a Tesla technician to my house and switched out the tires from the front to the back. And then the other thing is charging with these vehicles. If you don't have hands-on experience with the vehicles, it's very hard to understand how the charging works. When you go faster, you eat more of the battery away, so you have to pre-plan some of that stuff. You'll get in the car and you'll put in your destination. It'll tell you how much battery you have, how many miles to get there. But if you go 75 or above, it dwindles. So a lot of people will run out of power not knowing that they're not going to get to a charger in time. And it's not like there's charging stations every couple of blocks. You're talking about 40, 50, 60 miles in between charging stations. So if you run low on battery, the only way that you can get to a charging station if the battery runs out is they send a tow truck out to get you. They put your car on the tow truck and then they drive that to the charging station.
And that thing runs on gas.
Yes.
Let me ask Rob a question, because I'm not trying to put your business out there, but you've had some issues with your Teslas. Let's just say that.
I totaled.
Yeah. Okay.
And Malik's crashed.
You've been in some accidents.
Malik,
you've had some stuff.
Malik.
But yet you continue to return back to Tesla, and you bought another Tesla.
Safest vehicle I've ever owned. That's why.
So what's the reason?
I would have died if I was in any other type of car in the collision that I was in. I spun out. Somebody rear-ended me. I spun out on the highway, hit a guardrail going 75 miles an hour, totaled the car, walked away completely unharmed. No, not a concussion. Nothing. No.
Unharmed.
What did I say? Unarmed.
Unarmed, but
yes.
you are armed.
Yes. I was unharmed in the accident, so that's why I went back. They're great vehicles. Economically, it doesn't cost me anything to charge this thing up, and it's a very safe vehicle for me and my kids.
Gotcha. So
Tom,
safety.
Thoughts on this with Hertz? What do you have with this? By the way, great commentary, Rob. Tom, what are your thoughts?
Love you, Rob.
Well, I'd line up. Hertz had the number one problem they had was the customers weren't taking it, so they couldn't find enough customers to rent the EV. So it started there, but then it went to all the things that you talked about, what Rob talked about, which is, if you don't drive an EV a lot, you don't know how to charge it, and you don't know how to set it. And a lot of times, these EVs were getting run out of gas and getting stalled someplace because people that didn't understand it were running them out of gas. So there was a cost. So there was a bunch of cost underlying Hertz in this, and the fact that the audience, the people that were renting from here, didn't want it. And The Verge likes to say, buy more gas guzzlers. No, they're not. They're buying a bunch of cars that are 4-cylinder engines. Some of them are even hybrids, and that's what they're buying for the fleet. So it's not like they're buying a bunch of, BMW M5s that get 11 miles a gallon here. That's not what's going on. So The Verge, congratulations for spinning the headline, but oh, I'm sorry. I just noticed it's The Verge. And so what Hertz has done is the practical thing. They said, hey, we got to go back to fuel-efficient cars that everybody wants to rent so that they don't get stranded. And then the other thing is what he was pointing out is EVs do not have an infrastructure for repair. So Hertz is making the right decision. I have the same thing. I have a Fisker that's in my tiny little fleet of BizDoc cars. And, there's things that only Fisker can work on if it ever comes to that. And I know that. And that's a risk I take, something I accept, by supporting that company with their car right now and supporting EVs up to a point, because I think a blend is good. But Hertz, everybody's jumping on Hertz here, but Hertz is just doing the normal thing. I can't get enough people to rent these things, and I got increased cost of the ones that I have. And so I'm going to sell them. And that's that. And by the way, Hertz is also suffering because Hertz has been impacted by Uber, and Turo is actually mentioned in a quarterly earnings report. I believe it was Enterprise. They mentioned Turo, which you can rent a car from somebody else a day. Turo is basically the Airbnb for cars.
Turo is like the churros they sell at Magic Mountain.
Exactly what
like
that
a
is.
cousin of
It's
that.
a Mexican dessert.
No, but the point is,
Churros.
Hertz and Avis and all the car rental companies have been hit by Uber and Turo.
Tom, you want a Hertz donut?
All right, let's go to the next story here. Elections, we're going to find out what's going to happen. So, Rob, pull up what Davos' meeting here, and what they said is the crisis they're most worried about, 2 years versus 10 years. Okay, so these are the things they put out just recently, what things to be worried about, 2 years versus 10 years. In the 2-year side, World Economic Forum, you will see at number 10, pollution, then economic downturn, then involuntary migration, then inflation, lack of economic opportunity, interstate armed conflicts. Rob, can you zoom in a little bit? Cybersecurity, number 4. And then you have social polarization, societal polarization, extreme weather events, and number 1 is what? Misinformation and disinformation, of course, because of election.
Yeah.
Look at the 10-year number. Go to 10 years. Number 10 is pollution. Then it's... look how many of them are green, by the way. Everything's about climate change, right? So look how many of them are green. So pollution, societal polarization, cybersecurity, involuntary migration, adverse outcomes of AI technology, misinformation, disinformation. So we're going to stop lying. Lying's going to decrease in the next 10 years from mainstream media is what they're saying. So natural resource shortage. And then what is that one? Biodiversity?
Biodiversity. 3 and 4 is code for overpopulation using up the earth.
Wow. Natural resource shortage and biodiversity loss and ecosystem collapse. Critical change to earth systems. And number 1, extreme weather events. Tom, you see this. What do you think about?
I think over 10 years, they're worried about population. And number 5 and 6 is maybe they're worried about their control of messaging. And then involuntary migration, I don't think they really care. And then societal polarization, I don't think they really care. They're using that as a tool right now to everybody against each other. But then number 10, pollution, is directly related to number 3. So 3 of these on here, actually 4 of them, are related to we as the people. There's too many of us, and we're crushing the earth that we've been given, and we don't have the ability to control the messaging properly. And then this migration thing is going to be a problem too. And by the way, involuntary migration, you know why that's a problem, Pat? Because you have too many poor people over here that are trying to get over there. So it's also overpopulation. Yeah. One of their core tenets, and I've said this like 10 times in the last 5 minutes, is they want to solve overpopulation, and the way they solve it is not good.
Yeah. Oh, you know how else you could help in depopulating people? Have diversity for pilots for United. But by the way, look at 2 years, number 1. Oh, you want to kill people? Have pilots be that. That's 200 people a pop. Look at 2 years right now. Number 1 global threat to them is misinformation and disinformation. But notice how they're going to bust their asses because it's Elon Musk. At the end of the day, I don't think people realize, and I've said this before, how much credit you have to take your hat off to Elon Musk because he's giving us you know why he's such a threat, guys? Why Elon Musk is such a threat to the establishment? Because we get to see and hear everything that's negative about the government and Big Pharma, Pfizer and Moderna and all these idiots. Anyway, number one is misinformation, disinformation. Tom, in their 10-year plan, they're going to get rid of people like him. They're going to try to discredit him. They're going to try to get rid of his business. And that's why on 10 years, he drops down, people like that drop down to 5. So right now, it's control the information, push all that bullshit climate change and climate stuff, which is going to take over the next 10 years. That's what I see when I see that chart.
Well, I actually agree with why number one this year would be misinformation and disinformation because of all the elections that are taking place in 2024. We just saw Taiwan. So whether it's misinformation or disinformation or cisinformation and you identify as a straight white information guy, the information, we're going to see deep fakes. We're going to see AI generated stuff. We're going to see all that, especially in the election cycle here in the United States, especially with Russia tampering in elections, especially with Iran and, you know, all their friends out there causing terror. We're going to see misinformation and disinformation in 2024, no doubt. But their long-term agenda is certainly the climate crisis and overpopulation.
I like how 5, 6, and 7 are not a problem in 10 years.
Yeah, weird.
Armed conflict, lack of economic inflation. No, we're going to fix all that with a one world government, and we don't fight each other anymore.
Let's go to the last story before we wrap up. Taiwan defies China electing a new president. Beijing labeled a separatist troublemaker. This is from the NBC News. So Taiwan's vice president Lai Ching-te was elected as a new president despite warnings from Beijing not to support him. Labeled by China as a separatist troublemaker, the election is seen as a significant development in the already strained relationships between China and the United States. But with Taiwan's status being a sensitive issue, Lai's victory extends the rule of the Democratic Progressive Party, DPP, and marks the first time in Taiwan's history as a democracy that the same political party has won 3 consecutive terms. However, the DPP lost control of the legislative, which may constrain Lai's policy options. China's response to Lai's victory remains uncertain, but potential actions could include military drills, trade restrictions on Taiwanese companies, and cyber attacks. And even Bloomberg, a story comes out same day from about Biden, saying Biden says U.S. doesn't support Taiwan's independence after vote. Joe Biden said, "We do not support independence," clarifying that the U.S. position on Taiwan's independence following the re-election of Taiwan's Democratic Progressive Party, which aims to limit China's influence. China considers Taiwan as territory and hoped that Taiwan's vice president, Lai Ching-te, who maintains strong ties with the U.S., would not be elected president. Biden remarks, however, have escalated tensions in U.S.-China relations regarding potential military invasion.
PBD, you did a poll of whether you thought China would invade Taiwan in 2024. What were the results of that poll? Do you recall?
Let me pull it up because I want to say it was 70-30. If I
that
remember,
they thought they were, or they weren't.
I think 70 was. This was a couple days ago, right?
Gotcha. I'm just interested in what happened in that poll.
I'll give it to you right now. Go ahead and give you a commentary. I'll look for it.
But
while you're looking it up,
here we go, Tom. There it is right there. Okay, so it was pretty close, yes. But what we know is, let's just start with the facts. In 2024, there's more elections going. What, 40% of the globe is having elections? Is that the number? So the world is voting, okay? And you vote with your feet, and you vote with your pocketbook, and you vote with, hopefully against war. Right now, there's 3 hotspots going on around the world. We know about Ukraine. We know about Israel. But we don't know exactly what's going on in China and Taiwan. We know about the South China Seas and everything going on over there. But what happened in Taiwan, and this is important because they basically said, China, no thank you. We're aligning ourselves with the United States. And they're not the only country that was formerly part of China or that part of the world that is essentially aligning with the United States, and I'll show you with that. So they are not aligned with the CCP. That's what's going on in in Taiwan. And China's not exactly happy about this. So much so, the Philippine Prime Minister in the Philippines came out and they basically congratulated the new Taiwanese president. China, the CCP said, "Be careful, Philippines, quote unquote, you're playing with fire." But here's what's going around in the rest of the world. They polled 20 countries, major countries. Do you view the U.S. or China more favorably? Pretty interesting. 20 countries, 18 of which said they viewed U.S. more favorably than China. The countries: Japan, South Korea, Israel, Poland, India, Italy, Hungary, South Africa, France, Indonesia, Greece, Canada, Brazil, Argentina, Spain, Netherlands, Mexico, Australia, and obviously the U.S. The only countries that align themselves with China: Nigeria and Kenya. Wonder why? Because they probably gave them billions of dollars and bought them off. Now that's what Confessions of an Economic Hitman. We'll find out what happens with Nigeria and Kenya. But even more importantly, they asked, who do you say contributes to more peace and stability in the world? The U.S. and China. And they asked major countries. India, they answered 70% U.S., 33% China.
Wow.
Okay? Weird. Japan, 79% U.S., 14% China. In South Korea, 74% U.S., 13% China. It's becoming clearer and clearer. You need to pick a team. Are you on team autocrat or are you on team democracy? Are you on team China, Russia, Iran, Houthis, Hezbollah, Hamas? Are you on team democracy in the free world with the United States? Pick your team.
It goes back to the first clip at the very beginning of our podcast today.
Yep, America first, based on what Jon Stewart said, right? So we're at the end of the podcast. Gang, tomorrow I will be interviewing John Abramson. We'll be talking about Big Pharma. Very, very interesting topics here. We cover a lot of stuff today. I think Thursday, do we have home team Thursday or do we have a guest on Thursday?
Thursday is home team. Friday, Glenn Beck.
Friday, Glenn Beck. Thursday, home team. Okay,
G
that
Beck
sounds good.
in the house.
So, and by the way, today, with everything that we covered with Manect, for those of you guys that wanted to vote, Rob, if you can bring this up.
Please.
Vinny, it looks like you want to say something to everybody here.
I have to say something. First of all, I think I got like 22 in here. I love every single one of you that are on there. Please Manect me. I want to give a shout out to the first 5 like I promised. John Coester, TJ Turner, Jeff Rusinski, Toby Schwarzbauer. I said it right. Jordan Black and Robert Love. Guys, thank you. God bless you. Listen, I love them, but I'm trying to beat them. Manect me, please. I love you guys. Ask me anything.
Take care, everybody. We'll do this again tomorrow. Bye-bye, bye-bye, bye-bye.
I got 22.